Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Wendigo, and I do the morning show at Bigfoot Country 104, 107, and 96, right in Mansfield, Pennsylvania. I am the operations manager as well as the morning show, which means I am tasked with not only leading the people on Bigfoot and doing my own show, we also have a classic hit station called Woga in Tioga that I'm also in charge of. What it means that I do is the special giveaways, things like that we do. I'm the one that goes into the promotions, writes the rules for those things, and those set up. I hand those promotions over to my wonderful sales team, and they do an awesome job of getting us sponsors and prizes and things that you guys can win. But yes, beyond just doing the morning show, I am also the leader of the on-air talent in the building there in Mansfield. And I have a few questions I'd like to answer for you guys that was sent your way. Again, I apologize that I wasn't able to be there in person for this. Everything a little weird right now, but I'm broadcasting live from my at-home studio right now for you guys and recording this, so here we go. One question, what do I like about my job? One of my favorite things about my job is just the fact that I get to be creative every single day. We don't have a script really of what we go to now. We have certain things we want to advertise on air, certain events that we want to talk about, and keeping people informed what's going on locally. But in general, the funny little bits, the comments, the stories, the things like that we talk about, that's all of us. And we do a lot of prep work before the show begins. It's not just, top of the moment, we just open up a microphone and say things. We put a lot of thought and a lot of time into it. So I would say that my favorite thing about my job is that I was able to find something where I can be creative every single day, and I never have to turn that off for anybody. My responsibilities, I went over a few of those in the beginning of this. A couple of my different responsibilities that I have day to day. Number one is doing the morning show on Bigfoot Country. I have to make sure that I'm being entertaining, engaging, that people actually want to listen to me. Doing fun things, keeping the public informed are just a few of those responsibilities of while we're on the air. Outside of that, the music that you hear being played on the radio station, both Bigfoot and our other station, Woga in Tioga, I'm the one who sits down and builds those playlists and puts those together. And there's a lot of different factors that goes into why we play what we play, whether they're hit songs, the way that they're testing throughout the country. But we do kind of put our own little flavor on it, making sure that we can mix it up and you're not hearing the same songs at the same time every single day. On top of that, I have day-to-day technology things that I have to deal with, making sure our on-air computers are in good running order, making sure we are in compliance with our FCC license. The FCC is, of course, the United States government's, branch of legislation that monitors broadcast media, which we are a part of. It's the reason, you don't hear people saying bad words because they're not supposed to be on the air. And if you do that, the FCC will fine you. And there's other things that we have to do, including testing our emergency alert system to make sure that when you hear that crackly little noise when you're watching TV or listening to the radio, those are very important warnings, whether it be about weather conditions, amber alerts, things like that. We have to make sure those systems are working, and just day-to-day stuff that a manager typically deals with. I have to make sure my employees are happy, that they're feeling heard, that they have ideas or have any complaints or anything like that. I have to make sure that I address those, and I have happy, healthy employees that I get to come to every single day. What skills would help you in this field? Being able to be conversational, but knowing when to stop. A lot of people think, oh, you're on the radio, you must talk a lot. It's not talking a lot, it's talking effectively. Being very effective with your communication, your diction, and the way that you put things is very important. For me, it is a little hard because I am a bit of a talker and I like to go on and on and on, but nobody likes to listen to you going on and on and on about something on air. They want to hear the music. They're typically there on the radio to hear some songs. You can be entertaining, but a big part of it is just being an effective communicator. The fewer words you use and the quicker you can get that information out means the more fun that you can have. And the information is the most important part. So the skill that would help you, being short, being quick, being tuned into pop culture, knowing what's popular. If you're going to be playing everybody's favorite radio songs, you need to know what those radio songs are, whether you do that through your own personal listening, through different types of research that we use from testing from all over the country. We put it all together and mix it up in here in my brain, and that's how I make the playlists that you guys have. Another big responsibility is being able to stand up for things and being able to help others solve problems and be open to the fact that you're not always going to be right. You're not always going to know the answer to everything. Even as a manager, I still make mistakes. I still make the wrong decision from time to time, and a lot of that is being able to take responsibility for those things and then to make them right in the future. So mistakes can be made. You don't have to be perfect to be in this job by any means, or I wouldn't be here right now, but you can definitely learn from the mistakes that you do make, and just being able to be in tune with people and know that this job and the music that we play is about what you want to hear, our listeners, not so much necessarily what I like. A song that might be my favorite might not be everybody else's favorite, and I'm not going to play that song 1,000 times just because I like it. I want to play what you want to hear. What don't I like about my job? Honestly, lately, a lot of it is because we have to keep the public informed. Anytime there's bad news, we have to let people know about that bad news. It's not the easiest sometimes. A lot of times it can be very difficult and scary and confusing to us, even though we're the ones giving you the information. We may not have 100% grip on it ourselves, and especially over the last few months, that's really been the possibly most difficult thing I've ever had to experience, is knowing that no matter what the news is, good or bad, you have to be there for it. And with everything rapidly changing, a lot of us in the radio industry, in TV, in media in general, have been spending hours upon hours upon hours just keeping you guys informed and up to date as much as we can, which means time away from our families, time away from the things that we do as hobbies or would like to do on the weekend. But we're there for you because that's where we have to be, that's where we want to be, and that's why we signed up for this. What's a typical day's work like for me? There's no such thing as a typical day of work. Honestly, there really isn't. Every day is a new curveball. So a typical day of work would be expect anything and everything to happen and just be prepared for whatever you do. There's nothing typical about media, and it's just like any other job. There's certain things I have to do every day, which I have to make sure I have the music for the next day put into the computer. I have to make sure if there's any deadlines or anything that I have on a project that it's met that day, but it varies widely from day to day. So there's not really anything like a typical day. What type of business and environment am I in? Well, we have a kind of a really unique thing at radio stations. It's really divided into almost two separate things, but we work very closely together. We have the creative and the on-air side, and we have our sales side. So the way radio makes money is through selling advertisements on our air. That's why you don't have to pay for a subscription to listen to Bigfoot Country like you have to pay for a subscription to listen to Spotify or to have YouTube Music, or if you want to go more TV, you have to pay a Netflix subscription to get Netflix, or, you know, if you have a basic Hulu, you have to watch the commercials. You can kind of look at radio as basic Hulu. The commercials are what pay our bills. That's why we don't ask you to pay us money just to listen to us. And because of that, we have a sales department and a creative department. Now, the creative department is what I'm the lead of, and our sales department has a separate manager. Her name is Michelle Ensminger here in Mansfield, and what she does is she takes all the goofy craziness that comes out of my head and the head of everybody else who's really creative there at the radio stations and makes sense out of it, finds a way to match advertisers with an event so that we can sell that event, we can make radio, make money for the radio stations, and from there into the future, we can kind of keep everybody on the payroll, and that's how it is. We do work very closely together, but it's really almost split in our building. One half of the building is where the sales pit is, the other half of the building is where our studios are and where we do our recording and things like that. So very friendly environment. Very mixed environment. We all really care about each other at the radio station, and it's because we spend so much time with each other and really talking with each other. It's helped us create a lot of really great bonds. How long did it take me to be qualified for the position I'm in now? That's a really hard way to look at it, and especially in an industry like this, like radio, that is so driven on talent. There isn't a benchmark for how many years you have to have on something, as much as it is how well you can execute that job. I'm 31 years old. I had to think about it for a second. That's what happens when you get older. I'm 31 years old, and there's not a lot of operations managers around that in radio that are just my age or any younger than me. I've reached my position at a very young age. But then I also have a friend that works in Baltimore who is 6 years younger than me, who is working in a much larger market and is a program director and operations manager just like I am, but he's 6 years younger. He's very talented. It just really kind of depends on how far. Now, how long did it take me to get that point? I was in commercial radio, like actually getting paid to do radio for about 4 or 5 years before I had gotten into this operations manager position. But even before that, I was on the air at WNTE in Mansfield, the Mansfield University broadcast station. I was there for 4 years. So technically, it was about 8 years worth of all on-air experience to get to the point where I'm at now. And again, that can take some people shorter, longer to get to that point, depending on what their goals are. Some people just don't want to be a manager, and that's fine. There's different places that you can go in this industry. But for me, it took about 4 years professionally, I guess 8 years in total to get to that point. Education and experience required. There's really no college education that's required for it, no degree that's required for it. A lot of it is talent-based. Now, some of us, like I did, I needed to go to college to gain those experiences because it was something that wasn't open to me at a younger age, and college was a great way to get into it. And I've also learned different things like how to do video production and a lot of other things which really helped me out. So college can help, but college is not required. I know quite a few people who've been extremely successful in this industry who never went to college, and I also know some people who have gone to 4 years worth of college or even more and are also extremely successful in this industry. So it really just depends on what path fits for you. If you're not somebody who really would excel in a college environment, I would, say maybe get some experience by working part-time at a radio station if they're looking for something like that. Maybe build your own skills at home with at-home microphones and things like that. Lots of different ways to get into is really what I'm saying. Not really an education or experience requirement. The drawbacks and rewards for my current job. Drawbacks are there is a lot of time invested into it. We're supposed to be on air 24/7. Anytime something happens, I have to be on top of it to know why we're not on air 24/7. So the drawbacks to that is sometimes your sleep schedule is a little weird. I personally wake up at 2:30 every morning because I live in Waverly, New York, and I drive to Mansfield for work every day. And I have to be there in Mansfield by 4:30 in the morning. I'm usually there until about 2 o'clock, 1:30, 2 o'clock. Some days I'm there until 4:30. Some days I'll get a chance to leave a little early and I'll be out at 1. There's really not a super set schedule. You have a general idea, but not super set. Plus we have weekend activities that we do, different appearances and stuff that we do. So the one drawback I would say is kind of an uncertain schedule. You can't really plan too much unless you're going to be on vacation and know you have like a whole week off. The rewards for this current job is getting to see people who really enjoy the show that I do and getting to see people who really enjoy the music that we play. Especially with recent times, a lot of people were stuck at home, they couldn't go anywhere, and we were doing our best and getting lots of messages of people thanking us for still being happy, still bringing them entertainment, still bringing them a peace of mind. So really, the thing that's most rewarding to me is when we have audience members who can really say that we've made a difference in their life or done something cool for them. And I'll do one more thing, because I feel like I've covered some of these questions already just in talking about everything else. What made me decide that this was the right field for me? And I think this is a really great one to end on because it explains a lot. When I had initially went to school, I'd initially gone to college for business administration because that's what I thought I wanted to do. I was going to be a business administrator and I wanted to be a manager of a goods store or something like this. Now, twist of fate there, I did end up becoming a manager, but in radio. I found out that I wanted to really be in radio. Now, I've always been a fan of radio and listened to a ton of radio, but never thought that I could be in radio until I went to Mansfield University. It was a great experience for me. I had a public speaking class, which was a requirement for my business management major. And in that class, when I got up and did one of my speeches, it turns out the professor of that class was actually the advisor for the radio station. And he said, "Hey, you have a good voice. We like the way you talk. We like the way you present. Would you like to be a part of the radio station in some way?" I looked at it as cool, fun. I get to be on the radio. That's awesome. I never thought about that, but I still never really necessarily thought that that was going to be where I ended up. And I just kind of got into it and I fell in love with it. And sometimes that's what it is. You just find something that you fall in love with. And I talk a lot. So talking is one of the things I do well. If I can get paid to talk, great. And I get to be creative, and I just found the perfect fit for me, which could be the perfect fit for you. So in the future, if you ever feel like you want to dive into something, anything at all, whether it's this radio industry that I'm in or whether it's something else, I would encourage you to test out the waters, try everything that you can, and really fall in love with something. Because even though I've talked about drawbacks of my job and I've talked about the crazy schedule, which does mess things up sometimes, overall, I am extremely happy because when I go to work every day, it doesn't really seem like work. It seems like I get to have fun. So I would suggest that everybody out there, no matter what it is, what career field you're looking for, just look for something you can fall in love with. Because if you can fall in love with it, and most of the time you can wake up in the morning and feel like, hey, I'm really ready to go do this job, you've done something successful and you've really helped yourself. So thank you so much for taking this time to listen to me yammer on about all the different things that we do here in radio. And I hope you guys have a wonderful summer. For the seniors, have a wonderful first semester of college if that's what you're doing. If you're setting out on life, I wish you the best of luck in that. And if you have a few years left in school, just remember it is very important. Education, no matter what, you do need to know something to be able to get a job that you're going to love. So just enjoy things. Sorry 2020 was such a crazy year for you seniors. Really wish I could be there, but there's always next year, there's always next school year, and we really look forward to seeing you guys. And if you ever want to listen to me, Bigfoot Country 104.5, and we're always there to take your phone calls and hopefully play the music that you love. Thank you. You guys have a wonderful day. Again, wish we could be there, and as soon as we can, we're going to do something special for you. See ya!